Hello. Is everyone in? All right.
Yes.
Yes, thank you for that. I can see we already have 24 people who have already joined in. Thank you very much for joining in. Let me start again. Good afternoon and welcome to UNESCO Youth Forum and Champions for SDGs in celebrating International Youth Day 2025. My name is Esther Mwende Patrick and I'll be a moderator for today's session. Today we'll be focusing on partnership in SDGs and how youth can collaborate to ensure that we achieve the most of the SDGs and also collaborate all across Africa and make the most of the SDGs. So the theme of this year's youth celebration couldn't have been more timely, as we'll be focusing on advancing multilateral collaboration for sustainable development. Over the next 2 hours, we shall be hearing from distinguished guests on their remarkable contributions towards cooperation and multilateral cooperation in creating long-lasting impact in their communities and beyond. So our first speaker will be Arnold Gekonge, who is the Executive Director of Champions for SDGs, and he will be taking us through the first session, and we are welcome to hear from him. Arnold can take it over. Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon and greetings, colleagues from the different places that you've joined us today from. And welcome to the webinar and the important conversation that we are having today on Youth Advancing Multilateral Cooperation for Sustainable Development. I would wish to just share a bit about Champions for SDGs Youth, but I'll let colleagues who are coming on board to dive deeper into the topic of the day. So Champions for SDGs Youth is an organization that is based in Kenya and that targets young people between the ages of 18 and 35 with information on the Sustainable Development Goals and how they can actively support and participate in the implementation and review processes. We conduct general sessions on SDGs and at other times specific thematic and current issues that young people need to pay attention to. And one of the notable ones is the Pact for the Future, which was adopted last year at the Summit of the Future. So for me, it's just to welcome you all to this conversation, take time to learn, share, and also ask questions and share your comments where possible so that we can learn from each other. I know my colleague Budoi will be able to share much more from Champions for SDGs, but just to welcome you all and feel at home and make sure you make the most out of this webinar today. Thank you so much, Esther.
Thank you, Arnold. Arnold is the Executive Director for Champions of SDGs. And our next speaker is Tony Olela. Tony Olela deals with gender mainstreaming and child protection and reproductive health and policy. Tony, you're welcome to address us and give us a few remarks. Thank you. Sorry, it seems like Tony is not ready. We'll go to Samuel Budoi, who's the chairperson and in the board of Champions for SDGs, who will tell us more about Champions for SDGs. Are you welcome, Arnold?
Samuel,
sorry. Yes.
Sorry for a minute. I'll request if you could allow Winnie to speak first because he has another engagement she's attending to. So I request if she can share submissions before welcoming Budoy. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Linus. Linus is the chairperson for UNESCO Youth Forum. So your next speaker and our keynote speaker is Rachel Winnie, who's the country manager of UNICEF, and she deals with corporate partnerships, so she understands the SDGs better than all of us. You're welcome, Winnie. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Esther and Linus, for the invite. My sincere apologies to Budoy Senior for taking his space. I don't want to take much of the time. I'd like to speak on a subject that I was told to handle, that is digital diplomacy. So in my work with UNICEF, I have witnessed the transformative power of technology in education. We deal with education and scholarships. So by providing affordable, internationally recognized degrees through online learning, which means that whether somebody is in different space in the world, they can be able to access education. And so in other fields, I am the founder of the Bo Foundation, passionate about community development. And we are proving that when you give a community clean water, you give it health, you give it dignity, and the foundation of economic progress. And so the bridge to digital diplomacy, for me, what ties these two worlds together is the digital diplomacy, the ability to actually use technology as a bridge, and also just connecting people's ideas. We can talk about resources across borders to solve shared problems, because when you talk about digital diplomacy, it's a dialogue without borders. Long ago, this was not possible, but now this is like partnerships without passports, to say. So when we honestly look at where we have come from, when we think of diplomacy, many imagine like formal meetings in, those big brand boardrooms, with national flags and official translators, the gist of all that. But in the 21st century, a lot of things have changed the rules. And so today, you and I are part of a conversation today, and a tweet can influence a policy debate. A video that you share online can change the public opinion. And, a WhatsApp group can do a lot of things, from mobilizing relief efforts faster than even a government memo. And so for me, digital diplomacy is about more than just social media in quotes. It is about using the digital tools that we have strategically to, I'd say, represent our values to the world. We can by far build international alliances without, needing to be in the same space. We can always share knowledge, our innovations and the best practices across cultures. But then again, we amplify causes that matter from, I have seen a lot of youth come in this space just trying to change things from climate action to education reform to gender equality. But here is the great challenge. Digital diplomacy also demands responsibility. And so in a space where anyone can speak, nowadays, as long as you have a microphone and a digital phone, you can speak, and who will listen? So in this particular space where misinformation spreads really faster than the truth, every day we see stories that are not true, and how will you then protect your integrity in a space where, outrage gets more clicks, stories that are not really impactful get a lot of followings? Will you choose dialogue over division? How then will you use your capacity as a person to use your communication in the digital space in a way that it impacts not just you, the community around you, and the world? So I'd maybe ask you to reflect on a few things. If the only story the world knew about your country came from your social media feed, what story would you tell? Like if today you just went on social media and talked about something about your country that was either positive or something that is very, very good, and it made headlines online, how do you think that would be? Or then we can look at it from the point, how can you use your online presence not just for personal gain, but for the global good. So it really doesn't matter where you are. You can, I think Linus spoke about me being in the corporate partnership space. We have a lot of interdiplomacy that we do with different countries in terms of policy changes in education. But then, what partnerships could you start today with someone in another country to solve a problem you both face? Like somebody is in Bangladesh, you are in Tanzania, and you start a public, online policy that could, just transform everything around. And you can look at it from the point of view that when you disagree with someone online, will you aim to win the argument, or will you try to understand where they're coming from? Because probably the things that you're talking about might be very different from the space they are in. And so the answers to these questions, or many more questions, will shape the kind of, digital diplomats you become as youths. So today, to the youth that have joined this particular space and those listening from across the globe, for me, digital diplomacy is your superpower. Use it for the better. Use it to collaborate beyond borders to address global challenges, climate change, poverty, inequality, all that. But you also need to tell your own stories and change the narrative about the communities around you. And so I'm looking at in the near future where youth will leverage global networks for mentorships, for partnerships, for funding, advocating for peace, justice, inclusion in ways that will resonate internationally, irrespective of where you are. But again, I'll say the digital world is powerful only if we use it wisely. So don't just aim to go viral, aim to create value. I'd say don't also just post because you want to post or to be seen. Post to inspire. The day that you posted something on social media, was there anybody who got inspired from whichever part of the world? Did it educate anyone? Did it unite anybody? So as I come to a close, as we wind up the International Youth Week, I want to leave you with the word that says the world is. It usually says the world is more connected than ever before, and the youth of today are actually more powerful than any other generation before. So use your voice to build the bridges, your creativity to actually solve the problems, and your courage to stand for what is right, not just in your community, but for our shared planet. Because at the end of the day, digital diplomacy, it's not about internet, it's not about human connection that it enables. But then I believe that from whichever space, being in Nairobi to New York to Kigali to Kuala Lumpur, the youth of this world can shape the future that is a bit fairer than before, that is united and full of hope. Thank you, and may your global digital footprints be a force for good. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Madam Winnie. The key thing that came to my mind, or the key thing that I picked from your presentation, is partnership without passports. And I think that's so powerful, because you can see when you were growing up, maybe you were thinking about diplomacy, and all you were thinking about is sitting in big offices and such kind of stuff. But right now, with our phones, we can be able to do so much across borders. We can partner with everyone, as Winnie has said, and that is really powerful. So thank you, Winnie, very much, and we hope to connect in the future. So our next speaker is Samuel Budoy. Samuel Budoy is the chairperson and the champion for SDGs, and we'd like to hear more from him, especially because he deals more with SDGs. And welcome, Samuel. Thank you very much. Your microphone is muted.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Esther. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here, and it's always nice to hear from my colleagues, my friends, partners like Winnie, Rachel, and of course, now working together with Arnold and Linus. I think for us, looking at all this, we need to look at it in a very different angles And as for us as an organization at Champion for SDGs, we are keen on championing all the sustainable development goals and making sure that we unpack them as much as we can to localize it, and making sure that young people understand the every bit about some of the indicators of those sustainable goals. And from the recent reports we have seen, the SDG report this year, we are looking at 35% of SDGs are doing moderately well, and nearly a half of them are moving too slow, and 18% are in the reverse gear. So they are really not doing so well. And still, at the global scale, we have over 120 million people who are still forcibly displaced. And in the continent of Africa, and we have seen even in Kenya, in Dadaab and Kakuma, we have the influx of refugees coming into our country. And still, this is an overweight on the achieving the SDGs, because now countries and member states of the UN are still really struggling with some of these challenges and even climate issues. And we also, from the report, we're being told that over 800 million people are still stuck in extreme poverty and hunger. So all these things are really core, and it needs young people to speed up on innovation and make sure they're in the forefront of advocating for some of these challenges. And we all have solutions. And talking about solutions, we have recently seen how young people, especially Kenyans, are really championing on developing an inclusive tech solutions. For example, the recent report I saw yesterday on the young person who has innovated a sign language AI tool. So we are really moving fast, and we just need to also look at how we use them responsibly. And of course, we also have its own challenges, and of course, the benefits of using some of these digital tools. So in techplomacy, we call it techplomacy. It's a form of diplomacy in technology. We're really looking at how do we then hold these leaders accountable. And as our organization, we are focused more on scaling some of these conversations at the grassroots level, like the recent what Arnold mentioned on localizing the Pact for the Future. We recently started the first series a couple of weeks ago, and we invited some of these multilateral cooperation or multilateral or international organizations, the likes of the UN from the headquarters in New York. We engaged the Residence Coordinator's Office. We also engaged the government, and we need to hold them accountable and ask them questions in regard to some of these international agreements that they are signing on our behalf. And they're already calling them really nice names, a pact for the future. And so we need to be part of this future that they're talking about. We just need to realize that young people are demonstrating their enormous potential to generate scalable solutions to global challenges. And therefore, we need to recognize them as strategic partners and co-creators, and not just consumers of some of these platforms. And being part also and actively participating in policy discussion is very key. Go out there, there's so many conversations happening in Nairobi. Follow what IGAD is doing, follow the conversation of the UN, follow the recent just concluded the devolution conversations, because this is where policies are shaped. And it's only up to you as a young person to be in some of this room, air your voice, ask questions, and where it's no, say no. And just by you saying no and 100 or 10 of you say no, that policy might be dropped. And we have recently seen the revolution of the digital space, what it has done. And Kenya is really setting up a really good pace. And from the recent the demonstration that we have had last year and this year, it has shaped even how other young people are taking their government seriously and holding them accountable. And this conversation, they just start with a click of a tweet. Right now, I don't know if we still call them tweet or X, I don't know, but we have seen how the conversations have gradually going to all the way to Bangladesh and, revolution in Nigeria, Uganda, and, you can mention how young people have really shaped. And, in the 1970s and 80s, the revolutions was done differently, was done through music, was done through people going out on the street and just saying enough is enough. But right now, young people have a voice, and we need to really maximize on what we have been provided at this moment. So I think of some of the innovations back then in high school. If those who benefited from Science Congress, and you literally see how young people are really very, very innovative on taking lead on some of these innovations. And if you look at those innovations like M-Pesa, it's through young people, who came up with these brilliant ideas, and they are shaping how we are looking at the world in terms of economic development. And so I really thank you all, those who are taking initiatives to make a difference even in your own small way. And where we are really grateful to partner with mostly youth-led organizations. And feel free to reach us out and reach to Arnold or our social media platform and see the various ways on how we can talk. We took part in the devolution conversation. Our executive director, Mr. Arnold Gikonge, was involved in a high-level discussion. And this is what we need to do. I just want to remind you that if you think you are too young or too small to lead, then you have never been in the same room with a mosquito. So thank you so much, Esther, and back to you.
Thank you very much, Samuel. And you can follow their pages, Champions for SDGs Youth, on Twitter and on LinkedIn, and follow up their work. They're doing really wonderful, great job in SDGs. And I forgot to say something. So for today, our hashtag will be Youth for Digital Diplomacy. If you can tweet something, if you can follow us, please do that. Our pages are Champions for SDGs Youth and UNESCO Youth Forum Kenya. So our next speaker is someone I've known for many years. I've worked with for quite a long time. His name is Tony Olela. Tony Olela started as a UNESCO Youth Forum advocate, and right now, actually, he just joined. I think he's still new. He just joined the UNESCO Regional Office of Eastern Africa in the Department of Social and Human Science. Tony, we are ready to hear from you today. Take it away, please.
All right, thank you so much, Esther. I believe you can hear me.
Yes, you can.
All right, thank you so much. So, yeah, I'm happy to be joining into today's conversation just to listen through on what our colleagues are doing, and also in line with the IYD for this year. I'm glad that we've taken activities at different levels. So even as we have conversations at the post, International Youth Day, what I can say is, besides the marking of this day, focusing on youth advancing multilateral cooperation through technology and partnership. Us from the UNESCO Regional Office of Eastern Africa, we celebrate the creativity, resilience, and determination of the young generation. And this is out for the amazing work that's being done by young people in Kenya and Africa at large. And with 75% of the world's youth already connected online, we stand together as an historic moment where digital diplomacy can bridge borders, and amplify the young people's voices where they're turning ideas into action. So even as mentioned by other speakers today, despite the fact that we are connected digitally and we're championing for different actions in the digital space, I believe that we must also confront the realities before us, because there's still a lot of the digital divide, disinformation, and even underfunding of the youth-led initiatives. So in today's focus on issues in line with digital diplomacy, it's not just I believe that it's a necessity for us to take action. So we need to master these digital tools, where we're not only telling our story to the world, we're also securing partnership and resources to transform them into lasting impact. So I believe that we need to leave this space today highly committed and build with energy to ensure that we build a future where every young person, regardless of where they are, regardless of what positions they hold in the different space, we can collectively shape the global conversation and lead solutions for sustainable development goals. So even as we listen in today's conversation and today's deliberations, we from the UNESCO Youth Office of Eastern Africa, through the Department of Human Resources, we're open to working with young people to ensure that they drive their agenda without being left behind. So that speaks to what I have in mind today, and I'll be listening in even as we, as we continue with things. Lastly, it's high time for us to connect numbers. So numbers will always tell us where we are as a country, where we are in terms of engagement with the. That's my statement. And value, Esther. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Tony. Truly, our numbers matter when it comes to digital diplomacy. Thank you very much for that. And actually, our next speaker is Madam Miriam Muneni. She's an advocate by training, actually, from Strathmore University, and also she's a co-founder of Shield Maidens, which deals with equipping young ladies with cybersecurity skills and ensuring that online safety is taken into account. And she'll be speaking to us, and let's hear what she has to say. I'm excited for this. Madam Mweni.
Thank you so much, Esther, for this opportunity. I do hope that I am heard clearly. And so, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Maria Muneni, and I am a woman with a disability. And so, being a woman and a youth with a disability, and from the previous speakers who have stated that we are living in a world where diplomacy doesn't only happen in the boardrooms or government offices. Even from the session that you're having today, it can happen online. So we are using social media, we're using digital platforms so that we can be able to connect with various people across the world. I'm sure that it's not only Kenyans who are here. Maybe if the audience are able to just type in on the chat bot and tell us where they're watching us from, it will be easy now to understand how exactly digital diplomacy works. And so for the youths with disabilities now here in Kenya, this change has really opened doors that were always closed. So there's accessible platforms, has allowed us to join discussions. We're able to share our experiences and also connect with other youth leaders and friends beyond not only Kenya, also Africa or even globally. And so with the digital tools, it has amplified our voices. It has made it possible for digital diplomacy for persons with disability, for them to push for inclusion, pushing for equal rights, having a really bigger visibility, and which is really new and also very impactful. But there'll always be challenges. And so some platforms always remain inaccessible. So I'm not sure how many people who have joined us today are persons with disabilities. Maybe they can also type in. And so there's facing poor internet connectivity. Others in the online social media, they are facing online harassment or technology facilitated gender-based violence. So this really makes the digital space unsafe for us or even anyone around us. And so with all these realities, it reminds us that the digital diplomacy can only succeed if it's built on accessibility, there's safety, and also representation, which is really important. And so despite all the barriers that are there, the resilience of youths with or without disabilities has always been seen. And so it's not just for them participating in the digital diplomacy, they're also leading, which they're trying to run campaigns on social media. We are also right now we are engaging in like policy discussions. We are trying to influence change, not only locally, maybe if it's with your community, nationally right now, what doing, or also global. It's something that it's there. And so lastly, when I'm concluding, as we try to look in the future, let us commit to making digital diplomacy truly inclusive from the start. So being able to build digital spaces that are safe, that are accessible, and also that are also empowering every young person. And so because when youths with disabilities are included, diplomacy becomes more just, more representative, and also more powerful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maria. And most of the time, actually, when we are talking about inclusion, sometimes we forget that there are people who are differently enabled, you know, and it's if you're building that app, if you're building that website, if you're building that building, it's always great to make sure that everyone has accessibility to that platform. And thank you, Maria, for those insights. I hope everyone has taken something home. So I can see most of our viewers, actually, most of our participants are from Kenya. Thank you very much for showing all the support. I'm still waiting to see if there's anyone from outside Kenya, but it seems most of us are from Kenya. I can see Samburu, Kiambu, Nairobi. That is quite great. And so when you talk about diplomacy, what comes to your mind, you know? What do you really contribute when it comes to digital diplomacy? I want you to ask yourself that question. So our next speaker is Fabius Mulonga. He serves at IGAD, is a Pan-Africanist and also a youth leader. And let's all be ready to hear from him. I know he has great insights for us. Fabian, you can take it away. Thank you. Before Fabian is ready, I can see we have some people from Tanzania and Malawi. Welcome. This is quite great. Karibuni. Here in Kenya, we say karibuni. And I think in Tanzania, you can it's the same. So karibuni sana. So I can see Fabius is not ready to address us. So we will go to the next speaker. Give me a minute, sorry about this. Yes, our next speaker is Ramas Ibrahim. Ramas Ibrahim has done international relations and is a student at, she's a student at the University of Nairobi. I hope you're ready to address us, Ramas.
Hello everybody. You're gonna pardon my voice today with croaky. Coming down with the viral flu that's been going around. So yeah, my name is Ramas Ibrahim Mohammed. I am a youth empowerment advocate, an aspiring diplomat, and currently pursuing my degree in the University of Nairobi. And inshallah, I'll be graduating soon, September. So yeah. My work and passion lie at the intersection of youth leadership, diplomacy, and mostly conflict prevention. And I've had the privilege of participating in, African Union simulations and engaging with regional policy dialogues, and the youth turn up in such events is always nice to see, and we encourage that. And since our gorgeous moderator talked about most of our viewers being Kenyans, I'll say Waswahili husema samaki mkunje angali mbichi. So let's take advantage of our youth. Let's learn things. I'm also learning. I'm a yet to be graduate, inshallah. So I'll say one thing and I'll keep it brief, that I believe digital tools are not just, communication channels. They are powerful diplomatic spaces where young people can shape their narratives, build alliances, and influence policies beyond borders. So I'm definitely excited to be part of this conversation on youth for digital diplomacy, because for me, it's not just a topic, it's the future we're building. So yeah, thank you. Looking forward to all the wonderful conversations that we're gonna have today. So yeah.
Thank you very much, Ramas, for your input. And as a student, I know you've participated or you've seen what's been going on in the country, how our youth have been, our Gen Zs, our youth have been using the social media. And it's been quite interesting, first of all, watching and also participating in the maandamanos and how the mobilization was done. And I also want to say that if we can do that for our country, we can also contribute. We can contribute to building our country through pushing for better policies and also advocating for better governance, and also collaborating across platforms and also across the countries to make sure that we achieve the SDGs and also return our countries around. So I have a few questions that I had asked people to send to me, and I'll just be asking random questions. And Ramas, I'll start with you since you're our last speaker. Yeah, so I'm sure you've taken part in African Union simulations, maybe in Cameroon or Simon. And what are the lessons that you've experienced that apply to real world diplomacy and digital diplomacy?
Thank you, Esther. I think one of the biggest lessons from my experiences that apply to the real world diplomacy is that it's about speaking, and it's not basically like let me rephrase myself. It's about digital diplomacy or youth diplomacy. The field I've been in, the biggest lesson I've learned is less about speaking and more about listening. Hita, in the real world, you are taught from a young age, we are taught to listen to our elders. These people have literally made the pathway to our dream jobs that we are eyeing in the near future. So it's more about, listening. And in the AU simulations, success comes from understanding the diverse perspectives, whether be it from people, whether be it from different subjects, and finding common grounds, and also crafting solutions around the common grounds people come to an agreement to. And that mirrors the world, the real world lasting agreements, that they come from collaborations and not competitions. So that's one of the biggest lesson I've learned. Thank you.
Yeah, I like the last thing that you just said, collaborations instead of competitions, and that's how we build our future. Allow me to ask you one last question, please. And so in your future, in your dream, in your future, so what does the youth-led diplomacy look like in 2063, 2030? What does it look like for you as a youth?
Honestly, by 2030, personally, I envision a youth-led diplomacy as a norm and not an exemption. So I want to see young diplomats, negotiators, mediators who are willing to be on the front for global problem solving, yani working alongside seasoned leaders, because we're all seasoned leaders at this point. And decisions on climate change, whether be it technology, whether be it peace and security, whether be it development, would reflect intergenerational perspectives, ensuring sustainability. So most importantly, youth-led initiatives would be recognized as a credible and impactful and an essential international corporations. So, and my ask is just to be like, to ask the people in power today to include us in these dialogues and advocacies. And it helps us connect with peers and policymakers around the borders instantly. So yeah.
Thank you very much, Ramas. That was quite insightful. The next person I want to ask some really interesting questions is Maria Muneni. She deals with disability rights, and I just want to ask her if she's still here. Yes, she's still here, yes. So how can digital diplomacy be made more safe and bridge the gap in civic engagement all across the platform?
So thank you, Esther, for the question. How can digital diplomacy be made more inclusive for people with disabilities? So the first step is accessibility, really. For the visual impaired, for there to be a screen reader compatibility, so for them to be able to take part on the global dialogue and for them not to be left behind. For someone who is deaf, so there should be a live caption or a sign language interpreter. So for this, it can make the online discussion more accessible, and also maybe simplified formats and plain language summaries can help people with intellectual disabilities for them to follow along. And it's not technology alone, it's not enough. So for persons with disabilities must also be visible and also valued in these spaces. So too often they are presented only as participants in the audience and rather not as moderators or speakers or maybe decision makers. And so with this, true inclusion means making sure their perspectives shape the conversations and policies that affect them and affect us all. And with all this that I've said, achieving this requires partnerships, which partnership with the government, partnership with the tech companies that are creating the websites and all the applications and social medias, and also disability organizations. So with this, they must work together for them to set standards and also try to co-create solutions. And when persons with disabilities are fully included, diplomacy becomes not just online, but it's truly human, since persons with disabilities are able to share their issues and they're able to interact with everyone. And right now, the future of diplomacy is already digital, which we have already been talking about. And it's really time to ensure that it's also inclusive. Yes.
Thank you very much. I just have a follow-up question, or just a follow-up thing that I'd like you to add on. Can you tell us a bit about your organization, Shield Maidens, please?
Yes, thank you so much for the question. So I am a co-founder of Shield Maidens, and Shield Maidens, it's an initiative, a woman-led initiative dedicated to online safety for women, girls, and persons with disabilities. And I've seen how even the small habits can empower people to navigate the internet more safely. So an example is being able to setting strong and unique passwords, enabling the two-factor authentication, and also looking at your privacy settings. I'm not even sure how many have done that, even the 2FA. It's really important. It may sound so basic, but it's really a common risk. Many are not looking into the settings and also reading the terms and conditions. So it's really important with now Shield Maidens, what you're doing. And so we have so many risks. There is the misinformations, there is the identity theft, there is the scams, because how many have been sent for links or being called by someone stating that they are working at this specific company and you should click the link or you should do something so that your account doesn't be locked. So yes, that's really important for us to really understand how technology facilitated gender-based violence works. And this is where we come in as Shield Maidens. We educate you and also educate. When you educate you, you're able to understand how exactly social media works, how exactly you're able to protect yourselves from social media, and even protecting others from yourself, because maybe you're doing something that is really a risk to others and you didn't know about it. So that's where Shield Maidens come in, and that's what we do. And it really started as something as simple as remembering to pause before you share, because when thinking about how everyone is posting on the go, you have to think, if I post at this time and someone who is watching close by tries to take your information, sometimes people post their location, they also post their phone numbers or just the personal identifiers, your phone number, your date of birth, etc. So just as I conclude what I am saying, just pause before you share. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Pause before you share, okay? Pause before you share. That is all you have to take home today. Pause before you share. That was quite impactful. I have one more question for Samuel. Samuel, if you're here, I have one more question, please. So my question is, how can young people ensure that their advocacy remains credible and impactful amidst the misinformation and disinformation that's going on and deep fake, how can we ensure that we remain credible and impactful in society? Thank you. Samuel Budoy.
Well, I think it's important, because first of all, we need to remain authentic as young people, and being authentic means we need to be realistic with ourselves and understand that some of these things are happening. And before you post something, ask yourself questions first. Where is this information coming from? Is it a verified information? Is this coming from the original source? Like maybe you see most of the time right now, most of even like news organizations are verified, So all these deep fakes and all those things, I think they are there. But even as young people, we need to make sure that we are aware of such things before even we post or reshare. Because the digital space might be really pretty, but it's in a way harmful when as we are consuming some of its content. So I think for me, the misinformation, disinformation thing, it's actually real. So we need just to be aware who we are following. And before, if you see something, for me, I take a breath and just like, okay, this thing, I don't agree with it. And I think I need to do more research and do background. And someone is saying so and so and so, let me go and check the source. If it's maybe something from the ministry or maybe something about any person, let me go first to their page. And if it's verified part of the page that I know, if it's someone is reaching you out and maybe is saying like what Mueni has said about people like texting you and say, hey, you need to do this. If you don't do this, your account will be blocked. If you know it could be even your close friends, your boss, and some of this, the account can be hacked. So take your time and call first your boss if you have their contact number. If someone reaches me on WhatsApp, they usually, hey, the profile you see that it's your friend, but this could be like someone has already, like we have seen all this, like someone texting you, can you send me please this amount of money? I take my time to directly call, and say, I'm not responding to this and I'm not clicking on any link. Let me take my time to. So some of those like verifying some of those sources, it's very key for us so that we are not trapped in some of these digital scammers. So yeah, I believe for me that like that's what we need to like embrace moving forward.
Thank you very much, Samuel, for that. And this is just, I'll ask the next question and anyone can take it in the panelist, anyone can just take it. So I'll ask the one question is that challenge, what are the challenges that your organizations are faced when doing partnerships and when dealing with SDGs and achieving the SDGs? Like, what are some of the challenges and how have you been able to overcome these challenges? And what will be your advice for youth who are now entering to the field of SDGs and they want to work on them and ensure that they are impactful in their societies? Thank you very much.
Well, maybe I go first because I was just a previous speaker. Well, it's important because even as a champion for SDGs, young people are taking SDGs as a UN thing, And, it has been there. UN has been there since 1945. So many of its policies that have shaped how even our countries operate, And so we need to critically look. Now, recently, they have just, last year, they adopted the Pact for the Future at the UN General Assembly, which I attended. And I was like, I was looking at those presidents presenting and, you know, adopting some of these documents, and it's already like how do I say, it's shaping how the member states are working on like their policies within the national level. And so for us, we need to like really critically look at it as young people and say, hey, look here, we need to actually understand what is in this document and what is it that they have not raised. And now when you're talking about localizing some of these international agreements, we're actually taking lead in making sure that our voices are being heard. So as what we are doing as champions for SDGs now, we realize that, okay, we were not there 90 years ago or 80 years ago when the UN was formed or these multilateral organizations were formed. It's the time. And now we are looking at the real time things happening like genocides, like uh, uh, people facing hunger and starvations as a weapon of war. So we are looking at it right. We are not like reading in books or history books or that, but we are looking at it in real time what's happening. So, and it's up to us as young people to make sure that in everything that we see, we document, we now take part in discussions in policy making, so that also when one day we'll say that something is working, we knew we were part of that conversation. When we say it's not working, we said we tried, we made our contribution, but they just never cared. So I think for me, that is very critical that we go knock on some of these doors. They send so many of these like conferences, please be there, raise your hand, ask questions, stop them, do this, join the roundtable discussions, send your contribution. And one thing when I was working at the International Center for Transitional Justice, one thing we realized that even transitional justice itself is legal loaded. Like if you think about transitional justice, you only think about lawyers. But we need even young people who have not realized who are just joining university. You know, your voice can greatly be of impact in if you join on some of this conversation, and you even start realizing your potential and some of the things that you're really passionate about, and that will also shape your career path, you know. And the digital space right now, if you look at maybe statistics show that 7 million young people that are unemployed, and every year we see influx of young people coming out from graduate schools with the undergrad and masters. And some of them are just joining. I'm sorry always to say this. Some of them are just joining because schools, they just don't want to be part of unemployment statistics. They just want to be involved in school because they are afraid to get out there. Someone has done a degree. He just say, okay, I need to do my master's because I've applied for 100 opportunity. No one even seems to respond back. So let me try master's. You try master's, 5 years down the line, there's nothing. But digital tools have provided us a platform to monetize, and so it's very important to take note of that you can use your social media, Facebook, your YouTube, your Instagram, to actually earn money more than someone who actually has been working more than 10 years. And you realize in 1 month, you've made a reel that can earn you 100,000 every month. So it's working, and you just need to try, just identify your niche and move with it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Samuel. Any other input from Ramas and Maria?
Thank you, Esther. No, I totally agree with the words Butoy Samuel echoed. And just to add on it, I tell my colleagues and peers that social media is like our superpowers, us as the youths. Like, let's use it in a good direction. Like, let's put it into good use. Like I did a course on personal branding and professional imaging, and whatever I learned through that course is that through these social media campaigns and virtual dialogues and whatever online advocacy we have going on, we can connect with like-minded people, with peers and policymakers across borders instantly. It's not about TikToking, posting a cute video. Yes, it's nice, but do you have do you use it to the to the correct use? Do you put it to the correct use, and do you use it to align your interests? It's about using these platforms not just for visibility but for impact, sharing credible information, mobilizing communities. As we talked about the Gen Z maandamano in Kenya, that was perfect. It was good. This shows that we as the youth, like, we are ready to be involved in the decision making tables. It's not. And to the leaders out there, like, don't just talk about including us. We are saying, like, trust us with the responsibilities, invest in our ideas, and create spaces that we are not only heard but heeded. So if we can use social media to a good use, we can create cross-border youth coalitions that push for policy changes and make a huge difference in our now living status. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ramaz. And I welcome any questions from the participants. Anyone who has joined, please make sure you type something, make sure you ask us some questions, because you're here for a reason. You've heard something that's interesting, so please don't be afraid. Just type you're afraid to lift up your hand, and in a few minutes I'll be opening up the forum for questions from everyone, so please be ready with your questions. And before that, I want to ask one more person who have not asked a personal question. That is Tony Olela. Mr. Tony Olela, so are you here, Mr. Tony Olela? Yes, he's here. So my question is, I have two of them, but let me first ask you this. How can young people transition from online advocacy to tangible influence in decision-making processes at regional and international forums? You've seated at both UNESCO Youth Forum, and you've been part of the journey, and now you're at the UNESCO regional office. And how can youth make sure that, apart from just posting on Twitter or on LinkedIn, how can their voices on the ground make more influence? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I believe you can hear me.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I've been on the move all through, but just to quickly respond to your question in brief, the thing is, it's not all about posting and getting impressions or likes or comments. As my brother earlier mentioned, Budoy, and my sister Winnie, the thing is, what is the intentionality of you having your content online? And what impression do you want to give to your consumers? And the thing is, and I think there's a gap that most of us young people tend to not really be keen on. What's your niche? Just the other day when we were hosting the young people within the complex, I passed by a table, and one of the young people was being asked by one of my colleagues that, yes, you mentioned you're doing ABCD, like, what's your niche? And the fellow young person could not be in a position to respond to that question. Yeah. So once you're able to identify your niche and build your skill and have advanced knowledge within that specific niche, you're able to hack it within the space. Space. For example, some of the few things that young people are doing within the space, people like Grace having amazing organizations, people like John Linus, for example, now me, despite the work that I do, I also run an organization called Africa. And Africa is looking forward to hosting a medical camp, in a week's time. That is the 28th to 30th of August in Sia County, Raida Sub-County, West Yoba location, Kamariga Beach. So we're putting a free medical
Tony.
I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes. You are broken up a bit, but please go on.
Yeah. So I was giving an example of this medical camp, which is going to be purely led by young people across the globe. We have people who are traveling to join us, and like some of our friends already are in the country, travel all the way from Nigeria, some coming from the Ghana, and even the counties within the locality. So the interest that we bring together to partner together as young people is what drives in our agenda to even the bigger global space. So what I can say is, despite us having content online, identify your niche, and also remember you are the CEO to your life and to that acceptance or declining button on social media. Remember, the moment you keep on battling with people online, systems will catch up with you. And I always share my story how I found myself into the UN system. They will always do a background search on what you are doing. Okay, so make diplomatic critics such that you don't infringe into other people's rights. So I think that's the best way I can answer that question. Thank you, and back to you, Esther.
All right, thank you, Tony, for that. I have one last question. How is UNESCO ensuring that youth from marginalized communities who may face digital exclusion, how can they make sure that these youth are not left out in the multilateral conversations? Tony?
Okay, thank you so much. So from one side, as UNESCO, we intentionally engage young people to ensure that we give them platforms where they can freely express themselves. Yeah. And even for those who are marginalized, as you quoted it, we are ensuring that we engage them in issues like research, support them to come for these conferences and even give them panel discussions. We engage them in different workshops, more so within the SHS department where I belong to. And diversely, we have issues in culture, and we engage young people within the culture department, science department, ocean department. So it is a lot that we do as UNESCO. We even have engagement in the digital space. Just the other day, UNESCO partnered with UNICEF to train young people on cybersecurity, among other aspects. And as time goes by, even as we look forward for the International Peace Day, we are planning to work with young people to commemorate these important engagements. And even as young people anticipate the support from UNESCO, we also want to get tangible, impact-driven ideas, okay, that we can table to our colleague to see how best they can support. For now, UNESCO is also going to partner with the UN Women to have a conversation on issues that are affecting young people, like femicide. The other day we had a conference on hate speech, and some of you are engaged in this conversation. The other day we hosted a conference on higher education, a conference that happened in Kenya. So the engagements are so many. I can only mention a few, but the consistency within the young people in the space is what even attracts the engagement to the UN and the global level. Thank you, and over back to you, moderator.
Thank you very much, Tony. I've seen some few questions in the chat, and I'd like to voice them for people who have not lifted their hand, and maybe they share something. So I'll go to Mercy Alo. Mercy Alo is asking, Mercy Alo is from Tumaini Dada, and she works with teen moms to equip them with digital literacy, entrepreneurship, and skills for self-reliance. So she's asking, in your view, how can grassroots youth-led initiative like ours, like Tumaini Dada, effectively collaborate with multilateral organizations to scale impact and contribute to SDG 5? Any of the panelists can take this, please. All right, I'll go to the next question as you think about that. The next question is from Lorraine Agani, and she's asking, she's just curious actually, how she can be part of an organization to initiate the digital diplomacy. how she can be part of an organization which initiates digital diplomacy.
Esther, if I may put my 2 pence into that question,
Okay.
I think and I believe the lady who asked that question is if I'm not wrong, is a university student who's trying to navigate. So I'll give you my perspective of it. So what I did was that I joined organizations that align with my interests. For example, I hope that we all know about the International Relations Society of Kenya. Organizations such as the UN, you can follow their social media pages and check for their outreach for events, attend such events, find your cliché or find your PowerPoint where you can thrive in and where you feel like you're most comfortable in, and just start from there. And also, I talked earlier about our professional and image branding. Make a LinkedIn post, not advertise, put yourself out there on LinkedIn, create your account, posts posts that align with the specific interest or organization you're interested in. And I think from that starting point, you'll thrive going forward. So yeah.
Thank you very, very much for that. Samuel,
so I also have something to give about on the question. So from what the previous speaker has stated, yes, visibility is really important, and also storytelling. As an initiative, grassroots level initiative, it's really important to amplify the voices. So maybe share success stories from the teen moms who maybe did so well either in school or they're trying to do something in their lives. So with this, it brings more visibility. You're also creating awareness where you're trying to reshape the narratives from the vulnerabilities. So you're bringing in strength, you're bringing in resilience. And also when these young women are able to share how digital literacy helped them, maybe either example in starting a business, or how a life skills training gave them the confidence that they're having. So you're also inspiring others who are viewing the post that you have posted. And so with this, the visibility will be coming in and more people will be engaging, and also you also be able to spread your wings. Other people will be wanting to collaborate and also partner with the organization.
Thank you very much for that. And so the next question will go to Vincent Wabwire. Vincent, if you're ready, we are ready for you. And then next we'll go to Mercy Allo. Vincent?
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you so much. So my question is to Tony Olela. So my name is Vincent Wabwire. I'm currently the country coordinator for Zindigi Prize. And Zindigi Prize is it's a long-year entrepreneurship program, basically tailored for university students. And our unique model is we are using campus directors as our lead coordinators from different universities. Currently, we are at 30 universities across Kenya, and I think 2 weeks ago we hosted John Linus just to share the opportunities that UNESCO has, and it was a success. So my question to Tony was about how do we maximize our social media to support our brand and work as we follow the right persons, so that whatever we post, it aligns with those we've followed, and even the even as you post, they're able to see. So how do we balance what we share, what we post, those we followed, so that we build a brand? And the second one is probably a request if we can host Tony for an online webinar, so as well you speak to our campus directors on the opportunities that are there at Africa and UNESCO as well. Thank you.
Tony, I hope you've taken note of that. All right, I will follow up and make sure that Tony has received your message. Or he has. Thank you. Purity, you can go up next. Purity, we are ready for you.
Hello, my name is Purity. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I understand that one of the goals of UNESCO is green entrepreneurship and climate action sustainability. So my question is, how does UNESCO support youth-led startups working on solar, wind, or maybe hydro innovation in especially developing countries? How does it help them?
All right, I think this one is for anyone. Purity, do you have a specific person, or is just any of the panelists can take it?
Any of the panelists can take it. I don't have a specific person.
All right. John Linus is the chair of UNESCO Youth Forum, and I think you'd like to take this. John Linus?
Yes, hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Okay. I'm unable to turn on my camera. Yes, fine, thank you. So, Purity, thanks very much for what you are doing on ground. And most importantly is that creating meaningful start from inquiring such a question that you've just asked. And what I would like to say is that UNESCO is the intellectual body of UN, and what the primary goal for UNESCO is in education, capacity building, and also creating bridges, just like, for instance, in this conversation. So what I'll start by saying is that all of the conversation that you're doing right now is all we can do is maybe connect you with the right people who can nurture your startup, who can give you ideas to scale up your startup, and most importantly, to mentor you, to make sure that your idea turn into tangible reality. And also we jointly work with other UN agencies, just like UNEP, which is co-mandate is on environment, whereby we can also link you up with them. You can also join Children and Youth Major Group. They always have a lot of programs for people working on in line with climate and things like startups like that. But a number of organizations are still building this kind of conversation. It is a joint effort that are done within stakeholders and done within different organizations. So what I can say is that connect with us. We'll connect you with the right people, the right partners, to make sure that these you are tangible and also ideas are turned into reality. So thanks very much for that question. I hope I've tried to answer it, and I'll be ready to connect with everyone here and see how best we can scale up and make sure that our ideas are turned into reality. And thank you.
Thank you very much, John Linus, for that. I can see someone else, maybe they have a follow-up question. Eka, you have a question? Eda, sorry, Eda.
Hi, hello, my name is Eda Chebet. I'm a youth leader from Elgeyo Marakwet and founder of Hug Asida CBU that deals mostly with environment matters and climate action. My question is to Mr. Samuel, the chairperson of Youth SDGs. Most of the time, SDG number 17, it doesn't get advocated mostly. And if I may ask, mostly when our projects align with environment and companies that benefit from extracting from environment. So SDG 17 is of partnerships. Does it get aired mostly in the SDG section? Because most of the time it's education, climate action, but SDG number 17, That is mostly what we have aligned our projects with, partnering 17 and SDG 13. Does it really get that attention that it needs? Because if we are talking on matters around climate, in the climate SDG 13 mostly is finances. So how can we be loud also about SDG 17? Thank you.
Well, thank you, Eda. I think that is a very important question. You often see or hear people talking about or discussing about the other 16 SDGs, but most likely the 17 one is not that often talked about. But the 17 one is more through action. And what I can say about that SDG is, and what you're talking about, how to advocate about SDGs or partnership, is it starts with your own organization. Are you inclusive? And when you're talking about partnership, what types of partnership are you talking about? Have you looked at all levels of partnerships or collaborations, and how do they connect with what your organization is championing? And so for me, I'll just go straight and tell you that you need to be really outgoing, and you have some of these meaningful partnerships. And how can you also link the SDG is just bridging the gap in between the local community-based organizations, linking them with the also national organization or state organizations like the government organization. And also right now we have county. And how do you even start at the grassroots level? Partnership with the local leaders. How do you interact with your chief? How do you interact with your member of parliament? How do you interact with your MCA? And how do you even interact with your community itself, the people or the target population that you serve as an organization? That is partnership. So partnership is just not about looking for organization to fund you, give you money, and do your work. Of course, that is like the most key important thing of what that SDG is talking about. But you start from down there, and when you're documenting your story, the international community, they will definitely be hearing some of your successes in some of the bottom meeting, and they will really want to work with you when you talk about going to Radienda in Kisumu County or whichever part in North Rift. They'll want to identify who is the strategic partner that we can talk to, someone on the ground who is working with the people. And if you have established yourself well within your community, I'm telling you, you'll be the first contact person. And you just never know when they're coming to your county or your area or your sub-county. So start from the grassroots level. Let people know you. Go to schools. That is partnerships. Go to churches. Go to wherever target population or target group you're working or something. If you're in a climate space, what are you doing to champion that? If you're planting trees, how have you advocated or make sure that most of the people within your space understand what you're doing, even before going to Safaricom, going to these tech companies or these manufacturing companies that are really benefiting from carbon credit or carbon stuff that is happening in that space. So that is very important when you're talking about the SDG 17. And if you are the one championing it, then you need to showcase and you can able to attest to some of the actions and the things you've done in terms of partnership. I hope I answered your question, Eda.
Yes, I think you covered it. And I can also see Arnold Gikonge is ready to follow up with an answer to that. Arnold, you can.
Yes, thank you, our exceptional moderator of the day, Esther, for that opportunity, and to my colleague and chair, Budoy, for the very comprehensive response. But what I'd like to say is that we should look at SDG 17 not necessarily more as not necessarily partnering with another organization, but when you look deeply into that particular goal as enshrined on the SDGs framework, you'll see that it speaks about strengthening domestic resource mobilization. It speaks about implementing fully official development assistance commitments by the developed nations. It also speaks about mobilizing additional financial resources for developing countries. It speaks about assisting development countries in attaining long-term debt sustainability, adapting and implementing investment promotion regimes. And then also it breaks down about how to tackle issues of technology through North-South, South-South, and triangular and regional and international cooperation. Now, this is mostly amongst member states of the United Nations. It also speaks about capacity building, which involves international support for implementing and building the capacity of developing countries. It speaks about trade. It speaks about systemic issues like policy and institutional coherence. It speaks about multi-stakeholder partnerships, which are which of course means that you can work with your various subnational, local, national, regional, global governments and bodies. And also it highlights means of implementation of a global partnership, and mostly speaking to the member states. So one other thing that I'd like us to remember is that the SDGs interlink. And when you are working on one particular goal, you are directly or indirectly contributing to a target of another sustainable development goal. As you know, the SDGs have targets and indicators for measuring the progress. So if you, for example, worked with your local county government to implement a certain environmental initiative, then that means you've already engaged in a partnership and contributed to a target of SDG 13. And if what you, for instance, you've planted crops that have produced food that is very healthy, contributing to a healthy population within your community, you see you've contributed to part of a healthy living, which is SDG 3. So the goals interlink, and what we are doing in our communities, I am very certain that all members or all colleagues who have joined this call today are actually contributing to the SDGs, because nothing in this life now is not enshrined in the SDGs. As the SDGs cover all aspects of life. And that work that you're already doing, it's contributing to the goals. You just need to find out which goal or target are you actually contributing to. And that will help you even support the review process, which involves the preparation of the voluntary national reports or the voluntary local reports. That is the clarification I wanted to also share. And also someone asked how they can be part of organizations. Some of the organizations that are here today. So some sessions that we host at Champions for SDGs Youth are geared towards developing the capacity of young people, even those who are in university, within the community. And the sessions are always open, so you are invited to share with your colleagues as sharing knowledge is one of the things that we love to do. And we hope that the information that we share during sessions such as this, in collaboration with the wonderful partners like the UNESCO Youth Forum Kenya, can be helpful. And after we finish, your feedback is very important, that you let us know what else do you want us to focus on during our next session. Asante sana, Esther. You can.
Yes, thank you very much, Anal, for that. And as you can see in the chat, actually, there are so many organizations that people are writing they're part of these organizations. They're the founders of these organizations, and they're leaving out their contacts over there. So make sure you take someone's number, you reach out. That's how partnerships are formed. Don't just wait for people to find you. Sometimes you just have to find them, you know. And here actually we have over 60 people. Imagine how many partnerships you can forge just in here alone. So please take this opportunity and take someone's number and find out what SDG they're working on and see how you can contribute towards that SDG and how they can contribute to your SDG, you know, the one that you're working on. And that's how, as Arnold has said, all SDGs are interlinked. So it makes our lives more better each time you work on an SDG, you make your life better at some point. So it's all about collaborations. We are here because of collaborations. Everyone is here because this is a big partnership. Like if it was a company, it's a really big company. So please don't let the contacts, don't let anyone get away without you reaching out to them and finding out what they are doing and how you can contribute and how they can contribute to your organization. It's all about partnerships. So I think that one has been covered quite a lot, and I hope we take this opportunity to do that. And I can see some questions. Victoria, that questions I asked to Tony Olela. And if I can echo what he said that if you're making a change in your community, at the community level, at the local level where no one knows you, you know, sometimes you start from there. So that when these big organizations, when they're looking to, nowadays with devolution, actually most of the time you find that organizations are looking to partner with even the government, or even like, let's say UN is looking for a partner in Samburu. So they'll come there and say, we want to partner with someone in Samburu. So they'll have to look at your portfolio and see what you've been doing. So start as small as you are, start where you are and contribute in whichever way that you can. And when these organizations that you dream about partnering with them, when they come to the ground, they'll find you ready, you know. You'll not just be there and presenting your case. You'll not be fighting for anything. Your table will already be set, you know. So yeah, so with so much said, let me take one last question, just one last question from Nicole Wema. And she's asking, she's the head of partnerships at the African Union. How do you envision youth-led digital diplomacy shaping multilateral cooperation, especially in advancing constitutional reforms and inclusive governance across Africa? And this one, anyone can take it. And I like the aspect of constitutional reforms because most of the African nations, and especially East Africa, we've been having constitutional problems. Let me call them constitutional problems because we've seen that people are not happy with their governments because of ABCDs. And I think this is such a timely question to ask. So I've seen John Linus has raised his hand. Please, you can take it. And any other panelists can also take it. Thank you.
Yes, thanks very much. And I would like to take that question, being that it was directly directed to Ambassador Frederick Gonga, was just send me a notification and a letter that he's truly apologizing for not joining this meeting because one, he has lost a member of family that made him not to join this. But at the end of the conversation, we'll like to send him all the questions that you've asked and also getting in touch with him. So with that, I'll get candid answers from him and he will really get back to that question. I believe it was directed to him directly. He has just texted me a few minutes to the meeting that he has just lost a family member and he feel that he might not join today. So maybe next time he will join us. And I believe that I'll convey the questions to him and you'll be able to respond.
Thank you very much, Linus, for that. I don't know if I can direct it to Maria. Maria, you're an advocate. I don't know if you can be able to tackle it just a bit for us.
Okay, so I don't know anything about the head of partnership at the African Union, but how do you envision youth-led digital diplomacy shaping multilateral cooperations? Just when we use social media, it's really important to use social media in the online campaigns and also in the digital forums that you're having. It brings on demand transparency or just highlighting the gaps in the governance. And so it also creates the pressure that policymakers and the multilateral institutions cannot ignore. And so the digital spaces are now becoming the modern town hall. So I'm putting the quotations. So where there's diverse voices, including the women and with persons with disabilities. And so I do think for the African Union, this presents an opportunity to partner with the youth-led movement. So just amplifying the voices and also bringing ideas into the formal policy dialogues. I really hope that I've tried to answer the question. Yes.
Yes. I think you've covered part of it. And that's really great because actually the question wasn't directed to you. I'm sorry for ambushing you, but I think you've done great. So I've seen Tony Olela wants to add something. Please take it away.
Yeah, thank you so much. I don't know if I'll add much, but just to build on what my other colleagues have mentioned, quite a very interesting and complex question from one Neema. I think that's the name. Yeah, so just to maybe put in what I can, mention in line with what you just asked is, I'm trying to envision a youth-led digital diplomacy approach where we try to break the pseudo borders. And what do I mean by breaking the pseudo borders? I'm looking at young people taking, breaking these barriers to participate through by the use of digital tools, where African voices are being used to shaping policies that were traditionally close to them. I take a case scenario of just the other day when Kenyans were unanimously in unison on the streets, just trying to translate the finance bill to local dialects. So I'm also trying to look at holding the key players accountable, where youth-led online movements can play a critical role by developing fast fact-check spaces where they can hold the stakeholders like the government accountable for the work that they're doing. I'm also looking at an aspect of where digital diplomacy can allow the young people in different countries or other counties to share best practices that they can use to reform different constitutions or other different policies. And just in a nutshell, youth-led digital diplomacy could really shift the multilateral cooperation from just being elite-driven, or rather the professor quote of driven, to people-powered structures. I think that's what I can really tap in towards what our colleague just asked. Over and back to you, Esther.
All right. Thank you, Tony, for that. And someone is asking, actually, a follow-up question for you, if you can share more information on the medical camp. Maybe you can add something before I close.
Yes. Thank you so much, Esther, and thank you so much for that question. that is Lorraine Agani. Now, Africa, which is a youth-led youth-led Pan-African non-profit organization, which works in 4 countries and 1 in diaspora, or 4 African countries and 1 in diaspora, that's the US, is looking forward to hosting a medical camp. It's called Africa Free Medical Camp that will be hosted in Siaya County, Rarieda Sub-County, West Yoma location, Kamariga Beach. So this is to take place from the 28th to 30th of August, that is in 2 weeks' time. And we are still open to partners to come in to support us financially and even to bring their services on the ground. So it is open to anyone who wants to come and participate in this specific medical camp. Remember, it is purely youth-led. Even our medics have come in to volunteer to support us on this course, and even the young people are traveling across the country, across the globe, to just come and be part and parcel of this camp. Remember, the camp is looking at addressing issues, sex for fish, sex for pads, gender-based violence, among other health delicate conditions that the people around the lake are facing. So if you're interested, please, you are invited. The nearest location is Bondo, and unfortunately, Africa won't foot in any transport cost to any individual and accommodation. So it is you to foot in yourself for this specific that is if you're interested. Otherwise, we're also open to financial support. If you want to support, I'll drop a link on the comment. Once you tap in, you can buy a lady, a boy or a girl, a sanitary towel, a soap. We are very open to that. Thank you, and that's it. Over back to you, moderator.
I thank you, Tony, for that. And as we come to close of this productive session, I'd like to invite John Linus, who is the current chairperson of UNESCO Youth Forum Kenya. Linus, please, can you give us some closing remarks?
Yes, I'm very, very much happy for this day, and I want to first thank each one of us who has created time to join this engagement, and also thank our amazing speakers, our amazing audience, and most importantly, Esther, you've done us great. So Esther, thanks very much, and also thanks to our colleagues, stakeholders, champions for SDGs, and also all the amazing staffs working behind this to make sure that it is success. So thanks very much to each one of us who has joined this meaningful, timely conversation. And we are very happy that we've hosted you today. We are ready to learn more from you and ready to leverage this conversation to next step, and also ready to see exactly what can be done. So thank you once again. There are a number of available opportunities at UNESCO Youth Forum. For instance, not at UNESCO, but also at NATCOM. NATCOM is Kenya National Commission for UNESCO. They have a resource center, which most of young people are not aware about. The resource center is located at National Bank Building, 14th floor. So if you're around CBD, you can get there, access the digital tools there. There are free computers, you can use free laptops, and also there's a free space for reading with a lot of books that you can do research. So those are just a few. There's also job announcement at IGAD has just announced a job for communication specialist. If you're in that area, you can tap into it. And most importantly, let's stay connected. Let's get in touch. Let's connect with one another, as the previous speakers that say it is collaboration and not competition. And also what I would like to urge us is that kindly carry the information that you've gotten from this engagement to your digital platform and engage meaningfully with those you are connected with. Just carry even at little as a message, then you share in your digital platforms. Tag us, we'll comment on it, we'll share insights, and also make sure that we are in touch. And with that, we are moving together and ensuring that digital diplomacy is a reality. So to our amazing speakers, thanks for creating time to join this. I'm sorry that our keynote speaker who did manage to join has gotten is bereaved, and we send him sincere condolence messages, and I believe that one time he will be able to join us. So thanks very much. I can't wait to learn more from you, and also we'll be hosting a number of conversations like this to bring different young people from different spaces, different background, to share best practices to ensure that no young person is left behind. So thanks very much, and thanks for creating time to join us. And with those many remarks, I wish everyone a good weekend, and can't wait to learn from you. Follow us on social media platforms just the same way we posted on the chat box. Follow UNESCO Youth Forum Kenya, see what we are doing, you try to engage us, criticize, ask different questions, and see how best you can move together and grow together. And also I'm also available on LinkedIn. Let's meaningfully connect, see what can be done, and make sure that all these conversations are turned into tangible realities. And with those many remarks, I'm really happy and really thankful for every conversation made, every voice, and every solution that we are crafting together, and will be very nice if every one of us are connected. So thanks very much. I would like us to maybe give applauses to our amazing moderator, and if we can send emojis, if you can turn on your camera, if you can, for the speakers, if you can turn on your cameras and say, maybe we share those, she has really done good. And I believe that this is just a start for every conversation. So thanks very much. Let's see what future holds, and all of us will be in a better place, and may your dreams or what your heart desire be achieved. So back to you, Esther, and thanks very much for amazing opportunity.
Thank you very much, Chair. That has been really encouraging. So this has been my first moderating experience, and I'm so glad that I've had 60 people in this room. And first of all, I'd like to thank our speakers. Thank you for making it to today, because sometimes we face challenging schedules, but you made time for us. We thank you very much for that. We also like to thank our partners, Champions for SDGs and UNESCO Youth Forum Kenya, for making this webinar possible. And I thank also everyone who made it here. Like having 50 people, 60 people in a room is not a small number. So thank you everyone who made time, and we hope that these engagements do not just end here, because sometimes we just talk and it ends there, and then we meet next and we talk some more and then it ends over there. So let's make sure that we make the most of it. We put some action into what you've said. So SDGs they cannot happen by themselves. They need us to make them possible. Okay. So with that, I just want to say thank you, and I hope to see you in another webinar, and also in partnerships. Yes, thank you very much. Asanteni. All right, we've ended today's session, but I can see someone is still asking if they can volunteer as a medic. Please get in touch with Tony Olela through that link that you sent over there, and please find out, because everything is youth-led. Yes, you said yes. Please reach out to that email address over there, and please let's make this possible. Kwa hayo mengi na machache, asanteni sana, and have a lovely evening. Thank you very much.